Perhaps if there had been any crime centres of the type you now propose when my parents were murdered by dastardly criminals. Welcome to the Bat Family Podcast.
That is just an amazing casual line
I
from
know.
that whole thing. That was 2 episodes of insanity, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah, this is the first time you saw Batman 66.
Yes, I've never seen the 1966 Batman. I've never seen any of the 60s Batman other than what I see in, like, internet gifs and through pop culture osmosis, ostensibly.
Yeah, you now have full context of the Bat-Twee. Bat-2C, or whatever what the fuck it's called. And yes, you can swear. So...
I'm still just kind of, like, emotionally, I don't know what to make of what I just watched, other than I had a incredible time.
Yeah. Oh, we should probably introduce ourselves. I am Jamie.
I'm Josie.
And this is the Bat Family Podcast, where we review the 1960s Batman show starring Adam West and Burt Ward.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting experience for me as well, because as we've already established, I've never seen any of it.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a time.
Yeah, so today we watched the first 2 episodes, Hi Diddle Riddle and Smack in the Middle. Get used to that.
I hate that so much, but I love it at the same time.
And the synopsis, according to Wikipedia, is, while the Riddler maneuvers Batman into being sued, the dynamic duo investigate the supervillain's concurrent scheme. How's that for the narrator voice?
It's good. I like it. I feel like that did not accurately summarize everything that happened, because it started off with the Riddler being there, and then Batman was being sued, and then they went to a club
Where Batman was
God.
drugged. I've been doped!
Oh God. Well, I guess first things first with that whole club scene. Genuinely, some incredible dance moves
Of course.
from Adam West.
Adam West is the best dancer. Of all
Yeah,
time.
with him kind of, sort of moving there, and occasionally picking up his cape, looking like a Barbie doll who can't quite move her arms yet. Absolutely incredible.
It's not the first time he'll dance in the show, but...
I'm terrified now. But I'm still looking forward to it.
Like honestly, like your Barbie doll comparison actually sums up the next time he dances too.
Well, that's kind of what he looks like very specifically. And only a few people will get what I'm saying here, because, like, the Barbies with the articulated joints were incredible, and they had a lot of movement and motion to them. But they were also so easily breakable. But the articulated joints, like, if you got anything in them, they got stuck real easy. And they didn't fully move because it was still Barbie's arm. And she had, like, the right fat where it needed to be on the arm. So you couldn't have her arm be, like, directly against the arm.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a little bit. So you could only articulate to about a 90-degree angle or so, and then move it back. And that's exactly what Adam West was doing. The robot. But, like, you're just learning how to do the robot.
Like, it reminds me of, like, I know some action figures, when I was a kid, if they had a cape or something, they would have the cape sewn onto the wrists. So, like, or something, you know, just so whenever it moved, that's how it moved along with it. You couldn't...
Detach the cape.
Yeah, you couldn't detach the tape. It was, like, sewn directly onto the wrist. And then, like, it just looked weird that way. So.
To be fair, we do follow Edna's rule from The Incredibles, which is no capes.
That's true.
So a detachable cape, not only would it choke the superhero within the whatever sort of universe it's in, but it would also choke the child if it was detachable.
And Batman's cape would choke him.
It would.
From this one, because that is tight around his neck.
It is. Oh, that was the other thing that I noticed right away. The color difference between the satin on Adam West's costume.
Yes.
Like...
I did not notice that until you had pointed it out. Like, I know there was, like, some minor color difference, but I did notice the cowl, the ears, the mask, and the cape are all different colors.
So the cape is like a blue like a deep navy blue, almost black.
Yeah.
But the cowl, the gloves, his underwear, and his boots were all like a red-based blue almost. Because there's a difference there's different color blacks. I know how that sounds. It sounds like I'm insane, but trust me. So there's like blue-based black for fabrics, and then there's a red-based black. And a red-based black is usually going to be warmer, and a blue base is going to be cooler. And that's kind of what was happening with this costume.
Like, I know there are different blacks.
Okay.
I know almost nothing about fashion, but I have seen Parks and Rec, so...
Fair enough. I didn't know that was even in Parks and Rec. That's another show.
Yeah, no, he was, on Parks and Rec, fuck, what was his name? Oh, yeah, Tom. He was, like, talking about different colored ties, and they were all black. And Jerry mentions, oh, well, they're all black, aren't they? He just laughs at him. Goes, no, this is one type of black, this is a different black, and this is a different black, Jerry.
Well, that person is completely correct.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so I also thought it was hilarious that, like, this is like a professional government-run outfit. Like, the police are a formal institution.
Yes.
But they casually just believe the random dude in spandex and his, like, teenaged partner, which is not weird or suspicious at all. But then again, it was also the 60s, so that whole concept never entered people's minds.
Well, the concept of the teenager, it did enter, because, again, there was a book written in the 50s about this. Seduction of the Innocent.
Oh,
in fact, that's
right.
the reason Aunt Harriet existed, apparently. Because, like, so Aunt Harriet, she's like, a lot of people think she was invented for the show. She had actually been in the comics for a couple years at this point.
To be a responsible figure?
Yeah, well, because they wanted an adult woman in the house to indicate, oh no, that, Batman and Robin, there's nothing untoward for them. Because apparently an elderly woman in the house just dissuades that completely.
Oh, of course. She's an elderly, she's everybody's mother.
Yes,
So of course there's nothing shady or weird going on here because she wouldn't let that happen.
No.
Because that's true, apparently.
Because she's so aware of everything that's happening.
Right? Oh my god. But no, oh god, where do you, like, the whole 2 episodes were just incredible. The sound effects, the labeling.
Oh, yes, the labels.
Everything is labeled.
Well, everything, not just the bad stuff.
Not just the bad stuff.
The air vents were labeled.
Why are the air vents labeled? Like, I guess it's a really different experience, kind of not having seen the 60s Batman and only really growing up with the grimdark Batman that we have now, thanks to the 90s. 90s comic books were just kind of depressing. But yeah, like, it's really surreal to kind of watch the 60s Batman only really being familiar with the like, kind of more modern Batman that we have, which is really grimdark and everything. Because I was expecting... Well, I didn't even think about it. I was just expecting, regular Batman, which to me is the grimdark Batman. But it didn't occur to me until, like, pretty much the end of episode 2 that I went, this is comedy.
Yeah.
They're not taking any of this seriously. This is not meant to be, like, any kind of satirical meta anything. This is just pure comedy.
Yeah, that was, like, a misconception about the show for a long time, and I have no idea why. Because, like, okay, the first 60s Batman thing I saw was the movie, and that was probably about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, probably close to 12 years now. Pretty sure it was before I saw The Dark Knight Rises. Mm. But, yeah, it was the movie, and so we had to upload the entire movie on YouTube.
Of course.
Yeah, because, although weirdly enough, at that point, the show did not have a home video release, so you could only see the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember watching the movie, and I thought, God, this is fucking hilarious. Well, and like I just seen like clips from the movie up until that point.
Okay.
And like they were hilarious. I just like
just random out of context bullshit that you have no idea what the hell is going on.
Yeah. And even in context, they still doesn't make any sense.
Oh my god.
Like I saw I assume you know about the shock repellent bat spray. I assume you've heard of that, even if you haven't seen it.
The shark repellent lives rent-free in my brain, and it is a source of endless joy. No matter what is happening, just shark repellent. The concept, the label on the can, the whole scene in which that's happening.
Exactly.
Everything about it is just... true artistry. True men in their element creating art.
The show honestly knew what they were doing.
They did.
Because apparently, the concept kind of came from in the early 60s. They were showing re-airs of the 1940s serials. And like apparently a reaction to those was people were laughing. And they were intended to be serious. But people just thought they were hilarious because they were... I've seen clips of it. And it's dumb. It's like this horribly out of shape Batman. The goons, just like generic goons. It was before the Batmobile was like a custom car, so it was just like a Chevy.
Oh yeah, where it was just casually, very obviously Bruce Wayne's car.
Yeah, it's just
like,
a car.
Oh, I guess that's something that we should establish. Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Spoilers, I guess. That's a terrible joke, and I'll keep making it even when it's not funny.
What do you think of the introduction of Bruce Wayne?
I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Honestly, because he was just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a businessman. Just a dude making deals.
Yeah.
And casually mentioning the horrific trauma he experienced as a child.
Yeah, which is... I think that and later in the episode when we mentioned it, those are the only two times that's brought up.
Oh, God,
it's never mentioned in the show again. Ever.
Just full disclosure, my parents died, but as we were saying about this big important business deal, I really hope that the microphone may be picking that up.
It probably is picking that up. But...
Apologies for the radiator.
The heater.
The heater.
Not the radiator.
A heater and a radiator is essentially the same thing.
It's not like the nuclear reactor.
No.
But again, that's the only time something like that happens in the show, by the way.
Of course.
That just somebody's violently murdered by falling into a nuclear reactor.
Which...
not murdered. Batman didn't kill her, but somebody died.
She, went up the thing and just daintily fell backwards.
And she was slipping even though she was wearing gloves.
Into a nuclear reactor. So... for a private nuclear reactor, do you not need, permits for that?
Presumably.
So does that mean that, with some, I'm guessing, the Environmental Protection Agency and laws like that didn't really come into existence until the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So, nonetheless, is there, some office somewhere in Gotham City Hall that casually has, evidence and proof of Bruce Wayne having just a fucking miniature nuclear reactor in his basement?
Probably.
Who filed that? Who has this proof? And where can I see it? Because I would like to see this, and I want to hear what the explanation is. Why does Bruce Wayne have this? And, it's on a residential property.
Yeah.
Is he just so rich that no one cares?
Probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
well...
And again, he's a rich guy in the 1960s, and he's a white dude.
Okay,
so,
well then there you go.
There you go.
He can get away with anything. This is why no one cares about Robin.
Exactly.
I joke, but it's also another thing that people get really up in arms about. But it's
Well, they don't. Well, that's the thing. Robin's backstory isn't mentioned in the show either. Ever. It just happens to be living with Bruce Wayne for some reason.
Is this... Okay, was the whole... Again, parents dying in front of their child, was that not established? So did that exist in general for...
I think it did. I'm pretty sure in Robin's very first appearance, his parents died. That Flying Grayson's died thanks to a mobster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his very first appearance.
And they just never mention it in the show.
Yeah, no.
What the fuck? Why wouldn't you establish that? There's no context at that point. Oh my god.
Because they don't explain what the point of Aunt Harriet is either. Because So her full name apparently is Harriet Cooper. They mentioned. So she's clearly not related to Dick Grayson or Bruce Wayne. So who the fuck is she?
She's not related to Alfred.
No.
In any way.
Yeah,
Which would have been so easy to do.
Yeah, because Alfred didn't have a last name yet, so.
Oh, how comic books have changed.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Alfred did not have a last name yet.
That's
he
wild.
was just Alfred.
He was just Alfred. Well, I mean, fair enough, I guess.
And Riddler also didn't have a name. That's why he was just the Riddler.
Oh.
The Riddler.
Well, I guess that's why he didn't necessarily need a mask. It doesn't matter. There's no identity to hide because you don't have a name.
All the villains do that. They all wear domino masks, even though everybody knows who they are.
Ah, yes, the 1960s, the era of the domino mask. Why were they everywhere? I don't know. Did they serve any purpose? Not really, but they were there. They were kicking ass.
Yes.
Good for you, domino masks.
Apparently they are better at hiding identities than you think, but...
Yeah, it's a recognition thing,
Yeah.
I guess, for the brain.
It's like the Clark Kenting effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess, like, those first 2 episodes, like, that... Were those, like, the pilot episodes? Like, the first to air and the first to be seen?
That was a good question. I don't know. I should probably look this stuff up beforehand.
I mean, probably, but also it's a little bit more fun to look it up on the thing.
Yeah.
Like, while we're going, because I think that's just more entertaining.
I mean,
that just may be me.
So, original air date was January 12th and January 13th, 1966.
Okay.
Luckily, all the first season episodes, they have their own pages on Wikipedia, but starting with the second season, they don't.
Well, yeah, because after that, like, who fucking cares? We've established everything that you could possibly need to know.
Instruction code was 6028 PT1.
Okay. Is there one with a production code of 1? I know that's not how production codes work.
Well, the third episode is 8703 PT1, so...
Oh, okay.
I think we can assume that the Riddler episodes were the first ones produced and aired. I can assume so.
Well, either way, like, the first ones made, first ones aired are not necessarily the same.
But I think it is kind of obvious in this case, just because there are like a couple of things that don't happen. Like, somebody died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't have the same bat time, same bat channel.
No.
Same time, same channel.
Yeah.
And no sound effects in the opening either.
No.
Which is interesting.
But, like, still, like, my main point was that this was, like, people's introduction to Batman.
Yeah.
Those 2 episodes were the first things that anybody really saw of Batman. Yeah. And I guess, like, we lack the cultural context of the 1960s.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's a hell of an introduction to Batman.
Well, I mean, Batman was already probably one of the most popular superheroes by the 60s. There's a reason why he was the one chosen for a TV show.
Yeah, like, people knew him in the comics, but to see him on screen, it reaches a wider audience.
Yeah, that's true.
I may not have back in the 60s, but still, either way, I mean, the 60s still very much had that understanding and that sort of... What's the word I'm looking for? Understanding, or what... I can't remember what the word is. But sort of like belief, I guess, expectation, whatever word you want to use it, that comic books were for kids. Because we still deal with that now.
Yeah. Although it is worth noting that this was quite obviously aimed at kids.
Yeah, I get it. That's the other thing.
Yeah, so.
But, like, for Batman to kind of make it to the main screen, it was sort of, you could argue, and I'm just guessing, I can't say for sure, I was born in 95, like, I'm not...
That's the thing, I was born in 90.
Yeah, like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know shit about the 60s other than Mary Tyler Moore and Rhoda. And that was the 70s, so, like, tail end. But yeah, to have a comic book in general, not like specifically a comic book aimed at kids, but like a comic book in general to go from being in print, where you could kind of print whatever you want, to being on TV, which had a little bit more of a family value, meaning that it was kind of intended for everybody, not just kids. To have Batman kind of cross that media line,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess kind of would have been very incredible to see.
Yeah, probably. Like, if I was a kid in the 60s and I saw this, I would probably be amazed. Especially if, like, I hadn't even... Because if I was a kid, then I wouldn't have even known about the serials, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this was the first time I would actually get to see Batman.
Yeah, and like Batman, through being on TV and crossing that sort of media line, transcending the medium.
Transcending the medium.
Ah, how fancy and artsy. No. But to have Batman kind of cross that line, he would have reached a lot more people. Like, as the character would have reached a lot more people. So popularity in the comics would essentially made Batman a household name through the addition of popularity via TV. But even then, TVs would have only really been owned by people who were quite well off and wealthy.
Oh no, in the mid-60s, I think by that point they were more commercialized.
They absolutely were, but even then...
Color TVs were rare.
Color TVs, yeah.
Yeah, which I imagine is one of the big appeals of the show, because if you had a friend who had the color TV...
Batman watch parties.
Oh, yeah.
60s style, with your mom smoking and drinking in the background while pregnant, and making fucking candle salad.
I feel like that's a story there.
Oh, you don't know what candle salad is?
No.
Quick tangent. Candle salad is a banana.
Okay.
Cut flat, peeled and cut flat, on a bed of lettuce, standing up on a bed of lettuce, with, I can't remember if it's mayonnaise or whipped cream, but I think it's whipped cream, with a maraschino cherry on top. And it's called candle salad.
Because it looks like a candle?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it a salad? But no. Yeah. God, aspic. But yeah, I guess it's just overall kind of interesting to think that through the advent of television, Batman became a household name, or more of a household name. And to think that this is a comedy series, like, it wasn't serious in any sense.
Oh no.
It was purely played up for laughs. It was campy and hokey and just pure outrageous absurdity and silliness.
I've said this, I'm not sure if I told you this, but I tell this people a lot. My favorite Batman is Adam West.
Yes, you've told me this a few times.
Yeah, and like the reason he's my favorite is because he just captures the character perfectly for what it is, and he plays it perfectly. I
was actually gonna say, as I was watching it, I was like, "Holy shit, he's really good at. He is Batman."
Yeah.
And my god.
And of course, what makes it funny is that he is playing it seriously, and that's the point. Because my favorite kind of comedy is the absurd done completely straight faced. That's why I love Monty Python. That's why I love Airplane. That's what made Leslie Nielsen such a legend.
Oh my god. Yeah. He's pulling an Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah.
Even though that movie came out in 1990 and I'm referencing Muppets Christmas Carol like 30 years later. Oh god. But yeah, like, Adam West really was Batman.
Yeah,
he was Bruce Wayne.
He captures it, yeah.
He does. He has a very good face for it as well.
Yeah.
That, like,
he has the all-American face.
He does. He looks like your quintessential American.
Yeah.
And that is bizarre. At least to me. Like, nowadays Hollywood is predominantly made up of, like, there's a handful now anyway, like, really good American actors, but a majority of Hollywood actors right now either come from Canada or Europe.
Yeah. That's true, actually.
Yeah. Like, and to throw a little bit of shade, like, the U.S. couldn't make movies right now without Canada.
No, obviously.
Considering that we do literally everything. But it's really, like, Adam West really is your all-American. Like, he looks like he's stepped out of the ads from the 50s.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a very surreal experience to watch kind of comic books before they got really dark and serious. Yeah. It's a strange thing, but it's also really refreshing.
I know.
Like, it was such a breath of fresh air.
It's so enjoyable to watch. It's also why I love Batman Brave and the Bold.
I remember that.
Like I started watching it when it was on Netflix, which is gone now. But like, and I really liked it because it was essentially an animated version of like the '60s. So well, I guess technically it was more '70s. It was more of a send up of.
It kind of had a little bit of both. Like I remember.
Like Batman's appearance is clearly based on 1970s. Batman.
Yeah, absolutely. He still has the eyebrows.
Yeah.
Those beautiful, beautiful curved arch. The arch on his eyebrows. Eyebrows on fleek.
I just thought like the little
Resurrect that.
lines like on the nose part.
That was very confusing. I didn't like whatever effect they were going for with that. It does not translate. But yeah, Batman of Brave and the Bold. I watched it, kind of little bits of it, because I still had like cable.
Yeah.
With my TV in my room. So I would leave like Cartoon Network and Teletoon on to fall asleep to at night.
Yeah.
So I would wake up to Batman the Brave and the Bold being on, and I would remember waking up and looking at it going, man, this is so cool to look at.
Oh.
Not even to watch because like I couldn't hear it because I had it turned pretty much all the way down. But like just the visual style of it is so distinct. And it makes a lot of sense that it would be kind of like a send up or almost... Would you say that it was kind of like a love letter to Batman of the 60s and 70s?
Yeah, I guess. Like, well, yeah, basically the Silver Age in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't just like Batman. It was like, that's the reason it was called Brave and the Bold, because of all the different Brave and the Bold.
Yeah,
characters.
like I remember waking up and kind of watching it and going and seeing the Flash on there, but in like his original costume with the fucking wing Hermes helmet bullshit going on, and I kind of was looking at it and I went, oh my god, that's the Flash. Oh my god, that's the original Flash.
Oh, well, in
was
the show,
bizarre.
from what I remember, in the canon of the show, like all 3 Flashes that existed there. There was like the old man Flash, the original. Then there was like the modern Flash, and then there was like a kid Flash. I'm not sure which ones were which then. But
Oh god, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Batman Brave and the Bold. It was a good show. The little bits that I watched, I remember waking up to the musical episode and being very confused.
I love that episode.
But it looked really amazing, and genuinely that visual style is very reminiscent, actually, of kind of the animated stuff that we saw. That is the opening for the '66
kinda.
Batman. Like it's very clearly supposed to be kind of a love letter to the '60s and '70s Batman. That whole Silver Age, like you said. I don't even know how we started talking about Batman Brave and the Bold. We just kind of went there.
Yeah. Well, I think we were just like talking about like the '60s not being super grim dark.
Oh yeah, and the Batman the Brave and the Bold was very much like that. Did it not get like a little dark every now and then?
Yeah, it did, but
because like you gotta have some of the dark stuff.
yeah, but it fit because it did like the one where he tracked down his parents' killer. Yeah, Chill of the Night, which is like one of the best Batman episodes ever made, probably.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's really weird.
Which, by the way, is an episode that had Adam West as a guest star.
Of course it
Yeah,
did.
oh, and Kevin Conroy for that matter.
Really?
Yeah, Kevin Conroy played the Spectre, so Batman took Batman back in time to meet Batman, because Adam West was playing Thomas Wayne, and Julie Newmar was playing Martha Wayne, so...
That's radical. I love it when shows do stuff like that.
Yeah, and that episode also had Mark Hamill, because, yeah.
Of course it did.
Because, like, Kevin, I think the Spectre was, like, trying to convince Batman to take his killer into justice, and Mark Hamill's character was, like, saying, no, kill him.
It's like,
And
okay,
Mark Hamill
Joker,
was-
you can just be quiet, even though it's not the Joker, but, like, as a viewer, you're sitting there going, you know, Mark Hamill, you're just channeling a lot of Joker chaos right now, and I think you need to not be here.
Well, I didn't know it was Mark Hamill when I first saw it, because he's that good of a voice actor.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Like, Mark Hamill is an incredibly gifted
Yeah.
actor, but, like, an incredibly gifted voice actor.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
he loves it.
He knows
He has
it.
so much fun. He was on... So, another quick tangent here. So, Mark Hamill's done a lot of shit for Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
And Scooby-Doo has met and hung out with Batman several times at
I
this
know about
point,
that.
which is fabulous. But Mark Hamill showing up and doing the Joker laugh in the Mystery Machine. And it's like, sir, they were just messing around and hanging out with Batman, and specifically the Joker. And Mark Hamill's in your vehicle laughing like the Joker. I would be concerned.
And interesting thing, apparently Mark Hamill's Joker voice is loosely based off Cesar Romero, who was Joker in the 1960s Batman, and now we're back to the 1960s Batman.
Yes, I'm very excited to see the 60s, like the what's the first name again?
Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
It escapes me every time. I'm very excited to see the Cesar Romero Joker.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I've heard nothing but good things about the Cesar Romero Joker.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see it. I'm expecting him to just be, for lack of a better pun, I'm expecting him to be batshit crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so looking forward to it.
He won't be unique because, Riddler is also batshit crazy.
Oh, of
because
course.
of Frank Gorshin.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Gorshin is fantastic in this.
Oh my god. The Riddler was a gift.
Yes.
In those whole 2 episodes, I was just kind of like, I don't know what the Riddler's doing, but he's having a blast.
Okay, so I've seen the movie with the commentary about Burt West and Adam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and there were a couple times where they're watching it, and Burt in the background, he would just go, "What is Frank doing?" It's just because you just see Frank Gorshin in the background, you leaned over as he's doing, and then the tone just what is Frank doing right now? He's just being weird.
He's just, he's just in the background vibing. We're just gonna leave him, let him do his thing.
At the time, Riddler was a very obscure villain at the time as well.
I would imagine that the Riddler doesn't get really much of anything. I'm trying to think if he was even mentioned in the Nolan movies.
No, he wasn't. But these days not in the non-live action things, Riddler is in the big 4 or big 5, depending on how you include Catwoman, because of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Because before the show came out, he was in, I think it was 3 stories, and 2 of them from the 1940s.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, so he would have been a really unknown, obscure villain, who they just decided to choose for the first episodes. Because
start small, work up to the bigger villains, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because in the next 2 episodes it's Penguin, and then after that it's Joker, and then I don't know when Catwoman comes in. I think she's partway through season 1. But
and it's Eartha Kitt, right?
No, it's Julie Newmar.
Oh.
Julie Newmar is in seasons 1 and 2. Lee Merriweather is in the movie, and Eartha Kitt is in the 3rd season.
Fabulous! I look forward to Eartha Kitt. I'm very excited to see Yzma being Catwoman. That's what I know her best for at this point. But yeah,
I think everyone knows that Eartha Kitt is Yzma.
Yeah. Yeah, in general, just an unusual thing to see. I'm so used to the grimdark Batman, so much so that I'm at the point where it's I would really love to see, I guess I more want to see Batman animated series,
mm-hmm.
Batman / Bruce Wayne, because there was a lot of emotion in that series. So to see that really what they kind of had to go off of, aside from the comics, was
mm-hmm.
66 Batman, which is just pure craziness and delightful comedy that is so, I would argue, probably quintessential to the era.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. It's really cool to think that we got that really beautifully animated Batman series out of crazy comedy slapstick 60s Batman. That's incredible to me.
Yeah. And Frank Miller was not the one who brought the Grimdark Batman back, by the way. Just so people know. No, that was a misconception.
Fair enough.
It was actually more I can't remember their names, but it was more than 1970s when he started going more grimdark again. And then Dark Knight Returns happened, and then the Tim Burton movie happened, then the animated series happened, and then he was all grimdark again and all broody.
Yeah.
And he's I am vengeance, I am the nighttime Batman.
And he's I'm Batman all the time. Oh goodness.
I'm Batman.
Goodness,
I cannot do a bad voice.
No, I can't either. I
want to hear how Robert Pattinson says I'm Batman.
It's just his normal voice.
That's true.
I would love to hear him do it though. I think Robert Pattinson's going to be a great Batman. I'm looking forward to it. I got to get my Team Edward shirt made for the premiere.
Yeah, from what I've heard of the movie, aside from that, it doesn't look to be that great, if I'm being honest, but I'm looking forward to Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Yeah,
He deserves a fair shake.
It kind of has a year 1 kind of a vibe to it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see. Because Robert Pattinson's Batman so far, from just the short couple of trailers we've had, seems to kind of be out of his depth. Like, he doesn't really know what he's doing quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah, trailers can be odd.
Yeah. They're either going to be really good at showing you the stuff, or they're not at all. Or they're going to give away too much too soon. Which is a common thing.
Yes. That's why I almost never actually watch trailers.
That's fair.
I usually watch like the very first trailer and just like avoid things aside from that.
Yeah, same here.
With a few exceptions.
Yeah. I guess as well with the 60s Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one of the questions I had was the cartoon going at the same time, or was the cartoon before or after the 66 Batman?
The Batman cartoon.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think it came after, actually.
I would assume so.
Because it was also Adam West.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been after, because Adam West wasn't the original choice for Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like Adam kind of became typecast for a bit as Batman. So.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he eventually embraced it, which is good.
It is good. It's unfortunate when it sucks when you don't really have any control over it, but at some point you got two options with it. You either embrace your typecasting and just fucking kill it,
Yeah.
or you do everything in your power to avoid it, and that usually doesn't work out for a lot of people. It's worked out for like Elijah Wood and Daniel Radcliffe, who have done phenomenally, especially Daniel Radcliffe with what's his next thing is going to be. But like the two of them have actively avoided being typecast.
Yeah.
And that's through a lot of hard work on their behalf.
Well, generally speaking, the best way to avoid being typecast is to embrace it and then let people see how well you can be in that typecasting, and then just kind of like branch out from that. Cause,
Yeah. I mean, you might as well. Like, you have a thing, you have a wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Use that to your advantage, and when you get an opportunity to prove yourself outside that wheelhouse, take it.
Mm-hmm.
You have, because by that point you would assumedly have like this long history of showing what you can do. So the question of what you can do is not even there, but to see what you could possibly do is kind of exciting, and that can make for interesting casting decisions. Like Daniel Radcliffe is Weird Al.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Handpicked by Weird Al himself, and I'm like,
fantastic.
fuck yes.
Oh, Weird Al, we love you.
Oh, very much so.
You know, if Weird Al was around in the 1960s, he would have guested in this TV show.
Absolutely.
Because there's like a big who's who of names. And like,
It would have been, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because Cesar Romero was a big name, I know that. Oh,
Yes,
and
he was.
Burgess Meredith, who's Penguin, obviously.
Eartha Kitt was pretty popular.
Yeah, I think she was more of a Broadway actor, but like,
She was very much beloved at the time.
yeah.
That I know. And then she did her... Oh?
There we go.
Oh,
That's
there
back.
it goes. I wonder if it recorded all that.
I have no idea.
I hope so. That's amazing.
So for those of you listening, there were some technical difficulties. Audacity decided to go, nah fam, I'm good. And just stopped.
We're a simple setup, which is why there's a radiator going, or a heater in the background. It's the same thing!
Yeah, whatever.
The only difference is that a heater is less likely to burn your house down than a radiator. And you're far less likely to get 2nd and 3rd degree burns from a heater, depending on the heater.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, what else is there? Like, so much happened in those 2 little episodes. Okay. As I was watching, I was going, okay, cool. So the Riddler is here, and he's threatening some people. Okay, he's going to sue Batman. What the fuck? And then they go to a club. Batman gets doped.
I've been doped!
Like, specifically that line. That's
just,
not
the
what dope
delivery
means.
was just perfect.
Flawless.
I've probably watched like that first episode like 3 times. That's the first time I've actually noticed that. I've been doped.
Batman 1966, the gift that keeps on giving.
And then they do a very good lesson against drinking and driving.
Yeah, which is so left field.
I know.
Like, but, like, it's left field, but it's also not, because everything that has happened up until that point has been left field. Like, Batman gets sued, they go to a club, Batman gets doped. They have a quick little PSA about not drinking and driving, despite the fact that a majority of parents in the 60s were doing that. That's a generalization. Sorry, but, like, it's also kind of true, so whatever, I don't care.
That was the culture at the time.
Yeah.
It's just,
and then, in the process of, like, this anti-drinking and driving PSA, Robin gets kidnapped and loosely tied to a table.
The straps.
Oh my god, that episode ended with them, like, going to do, like, a horrific torture surgery on Robin, and then in the next thing, it's not even the same table.
No, and they're just putting, like, a plastic mask on him.
Yeah.
And they're letting him breathe.
Yeah, like, they're putting, like, a plaster cast on him and putting straws in his nose, which is what you're supposed to do. But, like...
The fact that it's the villains doing that.
Right, like, so much effort. I guess that was the other thing. Like, Robin, in order to be kidnapped in that first episode, he gets drugged. This is very surreal that I remember as much as I do. This is like watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z all over again. But, like, it was so hilarious to see Robin get drugged, and he passes out like that.
Yeah, just
Instantly. And it's very impressive to think that the Riddler knew exactly how much Robin weighed in order to drug him properly and not fucking kill him from an overdose. But, like, it almost had... That whole thought process, of course, in my ADHD brain, I immediately went... It really does have a vibe, like, the villain and the hero are communicating outside of this.
Yeah.
Like, it almost... I have this sort of low-key expectation that the Riddler and Penguin and Joker and everybody has, like, a list of Batman and Robin's allergies.
Oh, probably.
So that they know to avoid certain poisons and, like, certain knockout things. I don't know what they would use. I mean, the Riddler had a fucking an A-B can. A was, like, wake-up gas and B was knockout gas that he just sprayed gently next to Burt Ward's head.
Which really bugs me, because you think that the A and B would stay for something. So, like, A, I can understand, that would just mean awake. So, yeah, but what does the B stand for?
Bedtime.
Bedtime? Maybe.
It stands for bedtime. Or blackout.
Oh yeah, blackout. That makes sense.
Just can be.
Can be.
If you hold it up to your ear, you can hear the sound of buzzing.
Canned bees. From Dr. Bees.
Jesus. Oh my god. But no, so, like, the first episode ends with, like, Burt Ward being threatened, which is oh so terrifying, oh so threatening.
Will Robin escape?
I was not prepared for that whole ending bit with the narrator over top, that when it happened, I sat there and I went, is this actually happening? Oh my god. Oh my god, this is real. Oh my god, this is real. And it was, I wasn't prepared for it, but I should have known. Like, the jokes, I'm so used to the jokes and the parodies that to actually see it happen in, like, this serious with air quotes, but, like, in the legitimate context where it comes from, I just kind of sat there and I went, oh my god, they actually did do this. Yeah. This was a legitimate part of the episode.
Yeah, this is where the jokes came from.
The origin of the bean, or of the meme, as they say.
Yeah, and, like, it's the same thing with the sound cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, like, it's been parodied so often that you just think, oh no, they actually did this.
It's part of the pop culture at this point. That you just sort of absorb it and expect it. You don't really know where it comes from, but it's such a staple. And you just think of it as a staple. You don't think of where it came from. It just is.
Yeah, and, like, Robin's exclamations, like, holy barracuda.
Yeah.
Although he never says Batman at the end of the exclamations, though. That's like a beam me up Scotty thing, but...
Yeah, just the part of the Mandela effect where it's joked about and parodied so often, but it didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
the holy smoke. I think he said holy showcase.
Yeah, I think so.
Which, how is that something you say? Also, showcase? Showcase. Not like holy glass or anything like that. Like, showcase.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very, very 60s writing right there.
Oh,
that
yeah.
just stood out to me as being very specific to that era.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing with like Batman always saying "Great Scott."
Yeah.
Like every time I hear it, I just want to say, "Yeah, it's heavy."
It would be appropriate.
Yeah.
No. And then going into the next episode with Burt Ward being even more loosely tied to the table. Like when he first wakes up, I guess when the episode starts and we kind of first see Burt Ward, which Batman just miraculously recovers, by the way,
oh, yeah.
from his being doped. But like when we first see Burt Ward, like after he's woken up with Can A, specifically Can A, there's just like a very loose strap laid gently across his hips.
Yeah.
There's nothing holding down his upper body at all. He's just there. And like he leans up and forward, like he's laying flat on his back, and he does kind of like that one arm lean that you kind of do when you're in bed and talking to someone sometimes. And like you're twisting your body. Dude, if you can lift your hips even a little bit off of that table, you can escape.
Like not only that, like he can bend his elbows.
Yeah.
He's like he could have easily just pushed like the leather strap over his head.
Your arms are free,
Yeah.
Burt Ward. Just undo the strap, punch Riddler in the face, and leave. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. When the Riddler kind of appears from in the sewer, where it's just like his head and the domino mask, and he's like, "Aha! I've appeared from the sewer." And then I love that image forever in my brain.
Like Frank Ocean just has the best facial expressions.
He
of
does.
everything.
So expressive.
Yeah, no. And he's such a great actor. Like I know he was like I think he was a pretty well-known actor at the time.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the like guests were, because I know they got a few other people.
Mm-hmm.
George Sanders plays Mr. Freeze later, and Vincent Price plays Egghead.
God, right? Vincent Price is gonna show up at some
Yes,
point.
he is. Oh,
And
and I will
Mr.
say this: just be prepared for puns with like, Vincent Price. His name is Egghead. Just be
I'm
prepared.
so excited to see Vincent Price just dealing out puns. And I'm gonna get to experience Dr. Freeze without the backstory.
Yeah.
That's gonna be weird.
Yeah, and this was the this was actually the time when he actually got the name Mr. Freeze, apparently. Because before this one, he was just Dr. Zero, and then that was it. Then they said, "Oh no, that's his name, Dr. Freeze, I guess, or Mr. Freeze."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you were to do Mr. Dr. Freeze, whatever, the tragic one that makes me cry, that's who that is in my brain. He would someone would probably call him Mr. Freeze, and he'd be like, "Hey man, I went to fucking university. I have a PhD.
Yeah.
It's doctor. How dare?" Because he has a PhD. I'm
That's
assuming.
true. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's gonna be weird because Mr. Freeze, Frozen guy. What do you think I'd get in trouble if I just called him Frozone?
Oh, do you want to get sued?
Come at me, Disney. I don't fucking respect you anyway. No. Because like he got his tragic backstory in Batman the Animated Series,
Exactly.
and that really endears me to a character right away.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is tragic and it is very sad. Because his whole backstory is that his wife gets this incurable disease.
Mm-hmm.
She is going to die, so he puts her in a cryogenic state in hopes of saving her life. And then depending on which version you're looking at, she either dies or she lives.
Yeah.
Like, I think she lives in the live action movie with Arnie.
In Batman and Robin, I have no idea if she lives or not. I don't remember the end of that movie. What I do remember of that is that in the movie, Alfred gets the same disease that his wife got.
Yeah.
But in the early stages, so they tried to get him to cure it, I think.
Yeah, they do cure it.
Yeah, I don't remember the actual plot of that movie.
I have
It's been years since I've seen it, and I don't plan to.
I get Batman and Robin and Batman... The Val
Forever.
Kilmer? Yeah, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin confused because they're so inseparable. It's just bullshit. Both of them together are just complete bullshit. I can tell you the distinct differences between Batman and Batman Returns because those were the two Batmans that, like, the two Batman movies that I ever, like, those were my first Batman movies, and I love them. Like, I absolutely adore the Michael Keaton Batman movies, and I especially love Batman Returns. Because, first of all, you have Michelle Pfeiffer literally scaring the entire cast and crew when filming that. So there's a scene in that, and I'm going to spoil this for you, because I was going to tell you when we eventually watch it at some point. But I'm going to tell you now, because I love it. And we're both, like, fucking weird. But that's all right.
There you go.
So there's a scene in Batman Returns where Michelle Pfeiffer has a whip, and she literally whips off mannequin heads.
Okay.
And she was trained to use a whip. They had, like, a professional there to teach her. And she got so proficient at it that she did that, I think, in one take.
Oh.
But she was so proficient and good at it that everybody on set, including Tim Burton, was terrified of her.
That's fantastic.
And I absolutely love that. Like, Michelle, like, that's the movie that made me love Michelle Pfeiffer. I love that woman. She's my favorite.
I honestly, the funny thing is, I know who Michelle Pfeiffer is, but I cannot tell you a single thing she's been in, aside from Batman. And I know I've probably seen her in other things.
Oh, you definitely have.
Yeah.
You would have to...
No, the only thing I remember, Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I remember her from. So, yeah.
But yeah.
I know I've seen her in other things, I just can't think about it right off the top of my head, but, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so in that, like, those were the Batman movies that I watched, and I remember. And I remember, like, brief little bits from Batman the Animated Series, because it would be on really late at night, and that's when I would catch it, because I've never once been able to sleep properly like a normal human being. But really growing up, I remember I watched the animated Teen Titans series, which was fantastic. I remember little bits of Justice League Unlimited, and I remember little bits of Batman the Animated Series. So other than that, I just had those two live-action Batman movies. But Batman Returns specifically is my favorite because of Michelle Pfeiffer. And also because the main song at the end is sung by Susie of Susie and the Banshees. So, like, it's just goth on top of goth on top of goth. And I'm like, yes! This is my movie right here. I'm happy for it's just dark.
I'm pretty sure Forever and Batman and Robin were the first Batman movies I saw. Like, first live-action ones.
Well, fuck, no wonder you like the 66 Batman.
Well, I mean, again, I didn't see the 60s until I was like 20. So my main Batman memory from a kid was Batman Beyond. Because I remember watching that on WB Kids when I was still there, and I remember bits of the animated series too. I know I probably did watch it, I just don't remember actually watching it.
That's fair.
But I do definitely remember Batman Beyond, though.
Batman Beyond is a great series, and Return of the Joker is a great movie, and I would really love to see Terry McGinnis.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Is it McGinnis or McGillis?
McGinnis.
McGinnis. Like the beer. But no, it's I guess just in general, to kind of have your really established Batman sort of thing be the grimdark, and then to see the 60s hokey Batman is an unusual experience.
Yeah.
And going into that second episode, things just sort of felt weirdly connected and weirdly disconnected. They were connected through the craziness and disconnection, but nothing really happened with anything in particular.
I think I imagine that has to do with some of the early growing pains when they filmed it,
Possibly.
Because every episode is a two-part episode. Like, all of them are like that. They're all two-part episodes, except for, like, 2 3-parters in season 2. Although in season 3 there are, like, a few, like, standalones, but season 3 just kind of sucks in general, so
Fair
we'll
enough.
get to that
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess in that case, it might have just been... Well, there's with every show, you gotta wait for its growing the beard moment. You gotta wait for it to grow to grow the beard. Fun Star Trek thing, which weird to think that Batman and Star Trek came out in the same year.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Weird, because I've seen the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, wow, there was a lot of just like, oh my god, talk about like weirdly reminiscent of each other in like their vibes.
Yeah, well,
but that's just the 60s.
And they show a few of the actors as well. So.
Oh.
Because I know, I'm pretty sure both Julie Newmar and Lee Meriwether were in Star Trek at some point.
Possibly.
Each. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But again, that's just the 60s.
Yeah, that's just the 60s.
Like, it's the same like with today, because most television actors you see today, they all cross over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how often are you seeing like the Office, Parks and Rec, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine cast all in like different shows together?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
playing different things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Arrested Development as well, for that matter.
It all started with Arrested Development, and it just lost control after that. But yeah, going into episode 2, I guess it just like the disconnect, the connected disconnection, if that makes any sense. They like it wasn't a bad thing. Like normally, if you kind of sit and watch a movie or a show, and it feels like there's kind of two different scripts that were made and kind of just shoved together.
Yeah.
I think like the second Jurassic World is a really good example of that.
I haven't seen that. I wasn't too big on the first Jurassic World. So
No, the second Jurassic World has a part that's very reminiscent specifically of, oh god, what was the traumatizing dinosaur movie? Tree Stars. Littlefoot.
Oh, fuck.
Land Before Time.
Yeah, that's it. I knew it. It's one of my favorite movies. I forget.
So there's a scene in the second Jurassic World that's very reminiscent of a very specific traumatic part in The Land Before Time that I hated. So like immediately as soon as that happened, I was like, I fucking hate this movie.
Oh.
Because it was very left field and it's so unnecessary, and I started to sob and it was a bad time. But anyway, with Jurassic World, you kind of had like a kind of apocalypse sort of situation happening, and then the second half of the movie is like a cloning genetics sort of a thing, and it's the two are not connected really in any way other than the fact that like dinosaurs, that's really the big connection.
If I had a nickel for every Jurassic Park movie that had a completely disconnected third act from its first two, I'd have 2 nickels, but it's still weird that it happened twice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like with the 2 Batman episodes that we watched, the disconnection wasn't a bad thing like it was in the second Jurassic World. Because in the second Jurassic World, it does feel like you're kind of going along this plot, and then all of a sudden, no, you're going this way. Like you're driving and the passenger grabs the wheel and turns it completely in the other direction. And when that happens, it can be very jarring and disjointed, and it's not fun. It's not good. Because you were really invested in one plot, and then all of a sudden you're going the other way. But because the 2 Batman episodes, they kind of had an intentional sort of randomness to them.
Yeah, that's true.
As is like, I'm guessing, as this kind of telling of the 60s. Like the absurdist slapstick is there.
Same with comics in general.
Yeah.
That's how the comics are structured, essentially.
Yeah. Because, like, comic books back in the day, they were just kind of, like, short stories.
Because, Catwoman and Joker, they both appeared in the same issue of Batman #1, but they were in different stories completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, issue had, I think it was Joker, Hugo Strange, and Catwoman stories.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hugo Strange predated Joker and Catwoman. As did Robin, for that matter. Which is another
Strange is fucking old.
Yeah, which is another weird thing to think about, because a lot of the movies focus on like a solo Batman, but like Robin has been part of Batman for almost as long as Batman.
Yeah.
He was introduced like less than a year after Batman was introduced. He predates Alfred, and Hugo Strange and the Joker and Catwoman, but everyone just ignores him. And it's like, you should include him. either Dick Grayson or Tim Drake.
Like, if modern movie makers are really just so afraid of having this sort of weird question of Batman and Robin living together, which you make that joke because it's, you kind of bad taste jokes every now and then.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you were to do that in a serious sort of sense, who fucking cares?
I mean, all the times in all the adaptations where, both in comics and out, all the adaptations where it's established that, Bruce Wayne raised Dick Grayson. They've done it perfectly. They say a lot of time before Damian Wayne showed up, that Dick Grayson was the closest thing Bruce Wayne ever had to a real son.
Yeah, because nothing bonds like trauma.
Yeah.
And Dick Grayson watched his parents die. Bruce Wayne watched his parents die. Bruce Wayne saw the Flying Graysons die and he went, that kid right there, I'm getting a son. I'm adopting a child. I'm going to be a father. And it's like, gee, I wonder why, Bruce. Why that kid, huh? Yeah. But no, I guess with, Robin has never really been tackled in any of the live action things. Really. And it's kind of a shame because, if you're really nervous about doing the whole Batman and Robin thing, fucking throw Nightwing in there.
Yeah.
Give us Nightwing. For the love of God, give me Nightwing. For
or
the
just
love of
a
God.
Bat family in general.
Yes.
You could easily do a Jason Todd movie. You could base an entire film trilogy around the Robins and Jason Todd.
You could.
Yeah, very easily. And, so why don't
do
you?
It?
Yeah.
We've had so much with Jason Todd at this point. Jason Todd, the character everyone hated so much that they voted to kill him off, only for him to keep coming back as genuinely interesting and kind of cool. People love Jason Todd now because of all of the shit he's gone through.
Yeah, they like him because he's he's willing to kill his enemies, which is always weird.
Yeah, it's just this is a murdering Robin. Oh my God.
I don't think the current DC Bat family is that great as far as I know, but still that's because they were just weird. Because in New 52 they established that apparently Batman went through 5 Robins in 5 years. No, 4 Robins in 5 years, which is just
why?
Yeah.
It's dumb. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But then again, does anybody like the New 52?
No.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I would love to see Nightwing on the big screen. He kind of deserves it at this point. Yeah. And you want to do Nightwing? Throw Starfire in there and just give us the other romantic comedy of our time. We have Venom and we have the Nightwing movie, and there we go. I'd watch it. I'd love it.
Rather than Nightwing, people like Dick Grayson. I think we can all say everybody loves Dick.
Everybody loves Dick.
Yes, everybody loves Dick.
But no, I guess, with the 60s Batman, the first 2 episodes that I've ever seen were incredible. It was very refreshing. The feeling, the vibes of the whole thing, the fact that it was just silliness.
Yeah. One of the first things Batman does is take out that hook to put the bars on.
Oh my God, the hook!
And he just sticks it to the wall and just
he
very loosely, but
gently hangs it on that hook.
The fact that he very daintily does that, and then the two of them just smash through the window.
Oh my God!
No, you didn't have any glass cutters. They just jump through, smash through the glass. Apparently they don't cut an artery.
Apparently, but you have a hook specifically, I'm assuming, to hang metal bars off of, but you don't have a glass cutter Batman?
Yeah. And those existed in the 60s.
They absolutely did.
James Bond was a thing.
James Bond was a thing.
Adam West had even said in interviews a lot that the 3 Bs in the 60s were Bond, Beatles, and Batman.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Oh, God.
This one we never got a crossover between all 3 of those things. But,
unfortunately. A missed opportunity for the time, I must say. In general, though, that was an exciting, or not exciting, it was fascinating, and I loved every second of it. And I'm looking forward to watching more 60s Batman.
Yeah, it's just a fun show.
It is! And we're so consumed with media being realistic and realism, and we refuse to show, don't tell, which I don't know if we can make the argument that labeling everything is part of that, because they're technically just showing us the labels. We don't have to read it. Yeah, with the 60s Batman, it's just so light-hearted. And we're so used to having media being dark and realistic and not taking full advantage of the show don't tell, because no one knows how to make fucking movies or TV shows anymore, but that's besides the point. But it's just so refreshing. Yeah. It just is. Yeah,
and Armstrong just plays it such earnest.
It is.
He's so earnest and so chill, because like as it goes on, you later see that if Batman existed, you'd want this Batman protecting you.
Fuck yes, I would.
Because he's very concerned about civilian safety. Like he always gives lessons. There's an episode later on that's hilarious. How he gives like driver's ed lessons on the weekends. It's just a throwaway line, but like there you go.
I want this Batman protecting me. Oh my god, I want to learn how to drive from Batman.
Like it's kind of like this. They kind of like addressed all the nitpicky comments people would have made on the internet if the internet existed.
Oh my god, you're right. You're completely right. Holy shit.
Because like they don't have to address this. I mean, there are some things they don't, like how the bat phone is hooked up.
Don't think about the logistics of
or how Batman and
Robin
Robin became fully deputized agents of the law, which they are, and that's mentioned a lot.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's a plot point that's always brought up.
They're not vigilantes anymore. They're just police. They're just cops.
Like they even in the movie they even spell that out. Like not Catwoman says, oh, so you are like vigilantes of old, and they're like, oh no, Batman and Robin are deputized agents of the law, and then Robin just says, support your local police, completely unprompted.
ACAB did not exist back then, apparently. Jesus, that's incredible. Bat oh my
lives
god.
matter.
Oh no, I picked the mic. Shit. Fuck. I'm sorry. Oh my god. Oh.
I shouldn't make those jokes, but
probably not.
It's my podcast. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Exactly.
Within reason.
I mean, we're watching the 60s Batman. So, in episode 2, in the second episode that we watched, the lady, the woman, like, what was her connection with this mole gang? What the fuck even was that? Like,
yeah, Molehill Gang.
What the fuck is that?
I have no idea. So, like, in later episodes, they're all, like, similar named gangs, but they do have an actual theme to them. Like another Riddler gang is, like, the River Rat Gang or something, and they all have, like, a rat themed names, and, like, the girl there is, like, named Mousy, because of course she is.
Oh god. Oh
yeah, and they're introduced to eating like a block of cheese. It's weird.
Are all the women introduced eating food?
Well, no. In that scenario, the entire gang was eating cheese, not just the woman.
Oh wow, they must be suffering from a lot of malnutrition if they are only allowed to eat cheese.
But yeah, I completely forgot about that jar of caviar.
Oh god, like it's a Costco-sized jar of caviar, which I didn't know those existed in the 60s. I mean, all those fancy hotels. It's just easier to buy in bulk.
Yeah, I suppose so.
No food poisoning here, absolutely not. It's not like it's a giant jar of caviar or anything. But no, like, we're watching the 60s Batman. They literally, within the first introduction of the woman, whose name escapes me, which
Molly.
just... Molly, yeah. Thank you.
I don't know why I remember that, but it's Molly.
Fair enough. But, like, the first thing that they introduce her with is her being fat-shamed.
Yeah.
Like, right out of the gate. And she's just there to be the sexual appeal for 60s Batman and be a way better dancer, I'm just going to say it, than Adam West.
Yeah.
She got the rhythm that Adam West clearly did not have with his delightful posable Barbie arms.
Although, speaking of, one thing that I find interesting is that this is the only time in an episode where there's a special guest star and a special guest villain. Because, so at the opening titles, there's, special guest, so I think Jill St. John is her name, as Molly, and then special guest villain, Frank Gorshin.
Yeah.
But, for all the other episodes, it's always only ever, special guest villain, with, a couple exceptions. And so that never happens again. The only other time that happens is when the Green Hornet shows up. So okay. With Bruce Lee playing Kato, by the way. Just so you know.
Oh my god, that's awesome!
Yes.
I'm so excited. Oh my god.
He does absolutely nothing, but Bruce Lee's there.
He's just there for the looks.
Yeah,
he's there for all the fans.
Yeah, supposedly he and Bruce Wardell almost got into a fight, but I don't know the details of that, but he almost kicked Bruce Wardell's ass.
The amount of money that I would pay to see that, oh my god.
Yeah.
I'd pay so much money. A ludicrous amount of money. But we're watching the 60s Batman. The first female character we see is dead by the second episode.
Yeah.
She's in 2 episodes, and she's dead by the second one. The way she's introduced is through fat shaming. She's there purely for the sex appeal. There's nothing else really to her. So, bad taste jokes are going to happen because we're looking at something that is, unfortunately, just to speak the truth about it, it's very outdated by our modern standards. It is full of sexism. There's going to be a lot of off-color, inappropriate things by modern standards. But my expectations are that it's going to be a show from the 60s, so I'm not setting my hopes
all the
modern.
moles, as they're called, M-O-L-L. Is it one of
Which?
a mole, M-O-L-L. That's what the women are called. A mole is the female sidekick of of the villains, and they almost every 2-part they have at least one mole usually. Usually Frank Gorshin and Joker are the ones that get the moles. Actually, I don't think Penguin ever has one, but
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Penguin deserves happiness.
Yeah. No, he does almost get married in one episode. And he prefers to go to prison, apparently, but...
Well, there we go. But yeah, really, we're gonna make a lot of bad taste jokes.
Oh, yeah.
So, to be fair, all my point is that we're watching something that's older, something that's very outdated by modern standards, and a lot of the shit that we're gonna see is would never happen nowadays. So bad taste jokes are gonna happen.
Overall, I think that kind of thing hasn't aged too horribly in the 60s.
Honestly,
Batman.
It really hasn't.
No.
Just from those first 2 episodes, there was very little. I noticed the stuff with the woman because, she was kind of a major part of that plot.
Yeah.
She's disposable, unfortunately, but she did play a larger part in the plot than I think most people would have had a female character do for anything.
Yeah, and honestly, the big reason for that was sex appeal.
Yeah.
Because I remember I think it was an interview with somebody, a Doctor Who showrunner from the 60s. And he said, one of the reasons why they have the 2 female companions at the time was, and I'm quoting, he said, "Oh yeah, that was for the dads." So
sounds about right. But yeah, she fucking falls into the nuclear reactor at the end, and I was gonna say, with where all this started was with the whole plot of them kidnapping Robin, making a face mask.
Yes.
Just not Burt Ward. They make a rubber mask for her to wear and pretend to be, and the whole time Burt Ward is channeling his inner woman, and he is killing it.
He has that a hip.
He had the sassy hip.
Yeah.
And goddamn Burt Ward, if you are deserved it, he worked hard.
Yes.
And I didn't find anything bad about it at all. I just thought it was absolutely incredible. Damn, he can do it.
Yeah.
He has the range, darling.
I think Burt Ward is a really underrated actor, just in general.
Kind of from what I saw, I can see that.
Yeah.
I feel like Burt Ward probably was typecast like most of the people on there.
Oh yeah.
And didn't really get a chance to stretch his wings, so to speak. But
Get the fuck off my fucking.
all right, I'm out.
No. I'll get that cable.
All right, I'm not gonna.
So, anyway, do you have like a favorite part of the episode?
What did I not love? What wasn't my favorite part? Let me just think here. I mean, it started off with a cake exploding, which
Yes.
that was another thing. It started off with just some guy fucking around with the representative of Moldova
Yeah.
with an exploding cake.
It's a totally real country.
Totally real country. So it starts off with that, and then the cake explodes. The Riddler explodes the traditional Moldovan friendship cake. Alright, I don't know what that is. That's a thing now, I guess, apparently. Go figure. So it starts off with that, and then it goes to using the cops using the bat phone and calling it the bat phone.
Yes.
Did the bat phone have a label?
I don't think it does, actually.
They're
Maybe
not labeling everything correctly.
No.
That was actually a question I had as we were watching. How does Batman label everything? Does he have like his own labeling system, like his own organizational scheme? Or is he going like library stuff, like with alphabetical and Dewey Decimal? Like, how are you organizing your stuff, Batman?
That's true.
That's what I want to know.
I did notice that some of his labels, though, they did not have bat on the front of it. So.
Not all of them did. Some of them were just a general label.
Yeah, so he should really get on that, just to differentiate, what his stuff is from other people's things.
Exactly.
Because everybody else labels things, so
Exactly.
you have to know if it's bad.
Exactly. Like, we didn't see any labels in Wayne Manor.
Exactly. That's stately Wayne Manor.
Stately Wayne Manor. We didn't see any labels for the stately Wayne Manor. And honestly, how was I supposed to know it was stately? Now I just look stupid for not knowing.
Well, no, they did say it was stately.
They did say it, but how was I supposed to know without a label?
That's true.
That's the thing that I'm most upset about.
Yeah.
They're setting me up for failure. It's like the school system. Bad joke.
Yes.
Only a little sorry. But nah. Fuck, what else did I love? Just besides everything. I guess Batman's suit. I love that suit. The color differentiation bugged the crap out of me. I really liked Commissioner Gordon's hair.
Yeah, you said that a
I
couple times.
did. I like that. I don't know what it is. The bump in the front so that it's all evenly flat across the top. I just like it.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's a classic hairstyle, and I think it should be brought back. God, what else did I like? All of Burt Ward's acting in episode 2 when he was supposed to be, when it was supposed to be the Molly pretending to be Robin, but it's really just Burt Ward channeling his inner woman and absolutely fucking killing it. The Riddler poking up from the sewer after the car leaves. The club that Batman walks into.
Oh yeah, what was it?
Something Go-Go.
Yeah, the Go-Go Club or something, or the Go-Go-Go Club.
So it was like a good place to go or something.
Yeah, I think so.
So it was.
Yeah, good place to go.
Yeah. Like
and then Batman referenced that when Molly died, which is a
Right?
terrible taste.
Like, dude, not even a moment of silence or respect for this poor girl who has fallen ass backwards into the nuclear reactor that may or may not be legal because we don't know if Batman has a permit to keep that in the Batcave. I don't think he does. I think he's just getting away with it, but I also want to believe that he does.
Yeah.
Like him, the second he walks into the club and everybody is just talking to him, like they're treating him like a celebrity that's just kind of strolled in, and it's
Like, he's well established.
he's very well established.
Which is something a lot of just comic book movies don't do that often.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I like the MCU Spider-Man movies, because they just introduce him.
Yeah.
And he exists, so we don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
We honestly really didn't. I did like that about the about the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Bless him. Bless that boy. And the frog in his mouth.
He'll escape one of these days.
One day. I do love Tom Holland though. I think he's a great actor. He's a sweet boy.
Oh yeah, I like it.
He's like my age, which is so surreal. Oh, that's weird. But no, what else did I love from the 2 episodes of the 1966 Batman?
I was really just looking for like a more specific moment, just not everything. Okay.
Oh god. Well, I mean, I can't give you just a specific moment. I loved everything about that.
Okay.
Everything from the costuming to line delivery to the Batmobile's anti-fire fucking thing. Just everything about it. The sudden
Batmobile is
appearance of
magic.
Dutch angles. The Batmobile is not a product of science. There was some blood sacrifice to get
Yes.
that thing. And I also question the safety of the Batmobile.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
It's just a glass dome. It's a glass dome that doesn't even go over anyone's
Mhm.
head.
No, so when you see the Batmobile move for the first time, that's like the stock footage that they'll use for every episode.
Yeah.
So you'll notice that they didn't show them putting on their seatbelts. A few episodes later, they will show that because apparently a safety company or something actually complained and said, "No, you should show them you putting on their seatbelts to prove that it's safe."
Well, Batman is a good role model.
Yeah, so we will eventually get a shot of them strapping their seatbelts on before it goes down. So yeah,
That is an absolute gift.
before they exit out of Bronson Cave.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's.
I want to see Bronson Cave. I want to go to Bronson Cave.
You should go there.
Yes.
Absolutely go. Look, and hopefully
So many
pray that
places
Batman
have-
will be there.
So many places have filmed in Bronson Cave. I just want to stand at the same place where Batman and Lord Zed have stood.
Of course. Oh god. But no, it was. Did you have a favorite moment?
Yes, I've been doped. That's my that and just Molly's death, just because it was so awkward and just his bad pun right at the end. It's
Yeah,
just,
like-
what a bad way to go.
And it's just like, Batman, are you fucking kidding
I'm
me?
pretty sure he only said that because nobody else was around.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
So nobody could call him out on it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like Robin, he says that. Robin, oh my god, Batman!
Batman, the woman is
Oh,
dead.
you, when did you get here? A woman is dead, Batman. Uncool. You're a real square, Batman. And then he just leaves. Oh god.
Holy time and place. Anyway.
Oh Jesus. But no, yeah, I loved everything about that. That was a great. This was a real show.
Yes, it was. It
And
was a
that's
real TV show that
amazing.
existed.
TV.
I'm glad I was able to get the Blu-rays when I did because 20th Century Fox is out by Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if the DVDs are still in print now or like if Disney's going to figure out a new deal. I hope they just figure out a deal with DC because people should be allowed to buy this.
They really should. In general, people should be allowed to buy these older things, even if it's just a digital copy.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
I know with the movie it's easy because there's been no issue with the rights for the movie. But like if for the TV show it took decades for them to finally get a home video release. So
I'm not surprised by that, really. That seems to be a pattern for a lot of older shows.
yeah, it was like that for Power Rangers for a long time as well. So
That would make sense.
yeah,
It had Power Rangers vibes.
yeah, that's true. Oh, do you want to know how this is connected to Power Rangers?
Yes.
So Alan Napier, who plays Alfred, he is the great grandfather of the Red Dino Thunder Ranger. And not only that, but there's another connection. Alan Napier is also the great grandson or great great grandson of Charles Dickens. So.
Who wrote A Christmas Carol that was later adapted by the Muppets. We've come full circle.
Yes, exactly.
Here we go.
It's starring Michael Caine.
Starring Michael Caine taking things absolutely seriously, much like Adam West.
Which honestly, that's probably one of the reasons why Muppet Christmas Carol is my favorite version of A Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, well, that and just how Michael Caine just plays Scrooge in general, because it gives him like a sense of humor, like a
Which
really
is so
twisted sense
weird.
of humor. And
Yeah.
I just love his smile.
Yeah.
Like, harvest time for the moneylenders. I'm
It's
just like, oh god, buddy.
You sit there and you're like, damn, dude, you fucking cold and dead on the inside. Shit. Oh my god.
Anyway, I think that's all we have.
Should we like do like a rating of the episodes? or just leave it at a favorite part?
Let's just leave our favorite part.
Okay.
I don't like doing ratings.
That's fair.
'Cause, like, what are we comparing it to?
Exactly. And are we seriously going to remember what we rated the previous episode?
Exactly. And like, are we rating the 2 episodes at once or the 2 of them individually?
Exactly. There's too much to it.
Yeah.
So favorite moments.
Yeah.
That'll kind of be the end bit there.
Okay.
But yeah.
This has been the Bat Family podcast. Thank you for joining me, Josie. Join me again, hopefully.
Welcome. I shall return.
Yes.
Because I do want to watch more of this.
Yeah.
This was a
And I'd like
surreal
for you to
experience.
return because I don't want to do a podcast by myself. It would be really awkward.
That's fair. It's more fun to riff with another person.
Yeah, and like, what would I say? Like, hey, me, what did you think? Well, me.
Yeah, I mean, if you could do different voices, maybe no. You could trick everybody who's watching this into thinking that there's 2 people
I
here.
have been a dungeon master before, so I can do different voices. I can speak like a goblin.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.